Hey, honey. Thanks for coming by. Thank you so much for saying that you'll come home with me during the Chinese New Year's. My parents and my grandparents have been so noisy about wanting me to bring you home for the holidays. So, I'm really glad you could come this time. Even if you're not too sure about what's going to happen. But that's why we're going to have this last minute survival guide session about how to survive coming home with me. So I hope this will help you. And please be patient. I understand it's a completely new culture for you, so how about I start off by telling you more about Chinese New Year? Okay. So, Chinese New Year is actually just the Lunar New Year. Do you know about the lunar calendar? Okay, so the lunar calendar is actually based off of the lunar cycle, where, there's the full moon and the new moon, and the month cycle between the new moon and again and again. So, in a year, there's 12 full moons, 12 new moons, and the Lunar New Year lands on the first new moon of that year. So, Chinese New Year is usually around the end of January to maybe middle of February, depends on each year. And this is a time where Chinese people like thinking of as a new beginning. So there's lots of cleaning and sweeping and shower taking at the end. So on New Year's Eve and the days before that, because we're welcoming a new beginning, a new start in the Chinese New Year. So much of it is pretty much like any major holiday in the world. Family gatherings, lots of feasting and stuff like that. Meeting parents and gossiping with relatives. So you'll have all of that to look forward to. It's like if you do celebrate other major holidays on top of Chinese New Year, for example, in the Western world here, people celebrate Christmas. It's kind of like having 2 Christmases within 2 months of each other in a year. So that's fun. Well, number 1 tip I have for you is pack lots of red clothing. Like what I'm wearing. You don't have to go out and get any traditional clothing, but anything red would be very nice, because red is a very lucky color. It symbolizes vitality, vibrancy, and just lots of good things, positive energy. So during the holidays, everyone likes to wear red because it's very festive looking. And especially my granny, she really loved this shirt when I wore it during her birthday feast last year. So, something festive and nice. It's sure to earn you some brownie points, maybe. And you'll see lots of decorations like these around the house when we go. So this one says 出入平安, which means wishing safety to all who go out into the world. And the middle one just simply says happiness, 福. And this one says 大吉大利, which means great happiness, great well-being, that kind of thing. And there are also other lucky sayings to say to people, friends, family, your elders during Chinese New Year. Things like 恭喜发财, which is wishing wealth for the person you're saying it to. 万事如意, which is wishing everything goes well for the person. Or 一帆风顺, which is also saying everything goes well. Of course, there's the obvious 新年快乐, Happy New Year. So, when you meet my parents and my grandparents, it would be good to say 新年快乐 and some of the lucky sayings to them. That's my tip number 2. Because it kind of shows that you're wishing them well, and it gives them, a sense of family. Maybe that's asking a bit too much. Repeat after me. 万事如意, 新年快乐. That would be good. And maybe if we're lucky, we're a bit old for this, but if we're lucky, if we say the lucky sayings to our elders, they will give us lucky money. So it is customary to give lucky money to the generation after you, so I don't bother with my siblings, but if any of my nieces, nephews showed up, I would have to give them some lucky money. And maybe this time we'll say it's from the both of us. So lucky money, also put in pouches called 红包, red packages, are called 守岁钱, which means to preserve age money. It's basically money to wish them health and happiness throughout the year. And who doesn't like a little extra allowance around the holidays? And I remember when I was little, you would count your lucky money from this uncle, that aunt, great uncles and aunts, counting your extra allowance for the year. So tip number 3, let's fill some of these up. I think it would suffice to put maybe $20 for most of our nephews and nieces. If we were back in China, I would say a few hundred would be the usual amount. A few hundred Chinese yuan. So these 红包 red packages come in all different designs and lucky sayings on them. This one just says 吉祥如意 with the word for happiness, 福, on the top. Best wishes for the new year. But there are very many different colorful, not just red, but I do think red is very traditional looking. on top of that, when we get there, I think we'll go on the New Year's Eve day. Yeah, that'll do. We're gonna have a very big feast at night. My parents and my grandparents are gonna make enough food to last into the new year, so we'll probably have leftovers on the new year. And this symbolizes that we have enough from one year to go into the next year, so it symbolizes abundance of food for the next year. A typical saying for that is 年年有余. Every year there's leftover for the next year. And because the word 鱼 means fish, it also can be heard as every year there will be fish. 年年有余. So there's gonna be probably all sorts of fish to eat on the feast. And some other things they do with food and sayings is 年年高, which means every year is better than the next, and 年糕 sounds like rice cake in Chinese. 年糕. So we'll probably have that either in the pastry dessert kind, or maybe as a savory dish. I'm not too sure what the plan is so far, but we'll have that. And I'm not entirely sure which end of China this comes from, either the north or the south, but we always like to make some sort of feet related dish, so like pig's feet or chicken feet, and because they're feet you have to nao for feet, and it just kind of means raking money in. But you know, it's just something good to have on New Year's Eve. So we'll probably have pig's feet, barbecue pig's feet, or some sort of chicken feet maybe. So tip number 4 would be, even if you don't know if you'll like it, maybe just try a tiny bite of whatever is offered to you at the table. That would be nice, and it would show that you were willing to try out all these new and interesting foods. Not that I know you like trying new things, so I'm sure that's not an issue, but just telling you beforehand that might happen. And my dad likes drinking rice wine, 白酒. If there's other uncles and his friends over, they might get drunk, so if you don't really like to do that, maybe just have a sip or two here and there, just out of politeness, but you'll probably want to have a toast, so that would be another brownie point earning thing to do. And lastly, we'll probably make dumplings for New Year's Eve. It's kind of a northern tradition to make dumplings. I made some already, so this is what they look like. I think with dumplings, the reason we eat dumplings is because they look like mini 金元宝, which is like a little ignat of gold. 元宝is what they used to mold silver and gold in, which served as a currency in ancient China. So to have more of these would incur, luckiness and wealth in the new year. So that's why these are shaped like that. Kind of cute and chubby. And we'll make these for New Year's Eve and to have. And I'm going to show you how to make them so we can help out, and hopefully that will wow everybody, if that's enough motivation for you. So I have some dumpling wrappers here. They're store-bought, but if we were at home, they would be handmade, where we would have the dough, and we would roll them out and cut them into small pieces, about this size, and then have the dough stick, I'm not too sure what it's called, and spread it out into a circle shape where we would have something like this. And then we would take the wrapper, put some of the stuffing. So I just made up some pork and lettuce stuffing here. Just pork, spices, and regular lettuce cabbage. Have it in the middle. Usually have a bowl of water ready. Dip your finger in. And wet all the edges. Now if this was regular wrapper with the handmade wrapper, you wouldn't need to wet the edges, but because this is a machine-made wrapper, it's rather dry, so we need the water to wet it up again, so it's very pliable, but let this one sit out too long. Here's a fresh one. So you first fold it in half, and you press the edges together. Put it on your hand like this, and you start folding on the side closest to you. You want multiple folds along the edge. Have your little dumpling. So in the pork, I put some prickly oil. It gives it a very interesting spicy bite to the dumpling. And obviously salt. Pepper, and 5 spices, and huajiao pepper, My dad really likes spicy things, so this dumplings will be in pretty much everything. And it's a very different kind of spicy from most Western things that are spicy, like spiciness from a chili pepper. This is different. It's like your mouth is going numb. That kind of spicy. So after all the dumplings are done, they're either steamed or boiled or fried. The fried kind is called 锅贴, whereas everything else is just boiled dumplings or steamed dumplings. Would you like to see another one? To get the hang of it? The edges, fold in the middle, then start folding on the side closest to you. But on the other side, on the opposite side. And what we usually do with leftover stuffing is make meatballs and have the meatballs in a soup. So, honey, it's okay if all of this kind of bewilders you. I promise, just if it gets too much, put your head down, go hide in my room, go on your phone or something. It'll be okay. But still really want to thank you for coming with me, because everyone has been asking, and I said no, there's no time. Gonna overwhelm you. They're gonna overwhelm you. But it's the holidays, so just try to have fun. And maybe you'll end up really liking our culture. Because I do think when everyone's sitting around having dinner, welcoming the new year, there's a really deep sense of family. Well, why don't you practice with the 2 left? I'm gonna go steam this one, and we can try it out later. Okay, I'll be right back.